Welcome to Epoch News. I'm Tatiana Darzi. Countries that joined the Chinese Communist Party's CCP Belt and Road Initiative have been hit the hardest by the CCP virus pandemic. Spain is one of the key participants in this initiative and is currently one of the worst affected countries in Europe. It's interesting to note that according to many commentaries, the Spanish Organ Transplant Community has been helping the CCP avoid international accusations of live organ harvesting.
Countries that joined the Chinese Communist Party's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, also known as One Belt, One Road, have been ravaged by the CCP virus, commonly known as the novel coronavirus. Spain has strongly campaigned for the BRI. Many commentaries pointed out that the Spanish Organ Transplant Community helping the CCP, avoiding international accusations of live organ harvesting is the main cause of the pandemic within the country. Spain is one of the worst affected countries in Europe. The CCP virus pandemic has infected more than 240,000 and killed more than 25,000 people in Spain as of May 2nd. The high infection and death rate has drawn international attention to the long-term relationship between Spain and China. Spain has strong political, economical, and cultural ties with the CCP. In addition, Spain's organ transplant community has grown closer to the CCP. In December 2019, the 4th China International Organ Donation Conference was held in Kunming, China, and the Donation and Transplant Institute, DTI, of Spain was the organizer. One of the co-chairs of the conference was Marty Mañalich, a Spanish doctor who was the pioneer of the cooperation between Spanish Organ Transplant Community and the Chinese Communist Party. He is also the former president of the International Society for Organ Donation and Procurement and the president of the Donation and Transplant Institution. The Donation and Transplant Institution of Spain even further established the international cooperation and development in organ donation and transplant under the framework of the CCP's Belt and Road Initiative, when the evil deeds of the CCP performing live organ harvesting on Falun Gong practitioners were exposed publicly in the international community as early as March 2006. After more than 10 years of investigation, the World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong published a list of 891 Chinese hospitals and 9,519 transplant doctors involved in the live organ harvesting. As of January 2020, the World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong published more than 80 investigation reports, 581 audios, and more than 2,000 documents as evidence of the Chinese Communist Party performing live organ harvesting. Among these evidence, there are 58 audio evidence that directly testify of live organ harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners. The spokesperson of the World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong, Wang Zhiyuan, said,
Since the CCP started the genocide of Falun Gong practitioners in July 1999, the development of organ transplant experienced an explosive growth in China. Take liver transplants as an example. The number of liver transplant hospitals in China increased from 9 to more than 500, and the official statistics of liver transplants increased 180 times between the years of 1999 and 2006. In 2007, the number increased 436 times.
The governments of Europe, the United States, and Australia have passed various resolutions to strongly condemn and demand the Chinese Communist Party to stop the forced removal of organs of Falun Gong practitioners. In the face of international accusations, the Chinese Communist Party, unable to produce the source of the large amount of transplanted organs, was in a desperate situation and resorted to the excuse of using the organs of death row prisoners while seeking a way out to explain itself. The Chinese Communist Party referred Marty Mañalich's Transplant Procurement Management, TPM, as the Spanish model. Marty Mañalich became the most respected foreign expert in the Chinese Communist Party's organ transplant community and led other Spanish medical experts participating actively in major hospitals, universities, and forums in China. Under Spanish organ donation law, All citizens are considered organ donors unless the citizen himself or herself clearly rejected the idea in his or her lifetime. This is considered an important reason why Spain became the world's #1 organ donation country. Huang Jiefu, director of the Commission of Donation and Transplantation of Organs of China, revealed to Global Times in July 2018 that the Chinese model of organ transplant borrows from the advanced experiences of Spain. Marty Mañalich spoke to the Chinese state-run media, Xinhua News Agency, on the 27th International Organ Transplant Conference that China is now good enough to be a role model for the world because of its organ distribution and shared computing systems, despite its late start in the field. However, the spokesperson of the World Organization to investigate the persecution of Falun Gong, Wang Zhiyuan, pointed that the CCP's so-called donated organs have no source of tracing the origins on the internet, so the organ distribution system is a lie. Moreover, the majority of the Chinese under traditional and conventional influences are unwilling to donate their organs.
Marty Mayevich helped the CCP establish the Chinese model of organ transplant using the so-called Spanish model and used this to perplex the international community and to diffuse the international community's accusations of the CCP's evil live organ harvesting.
The CCP's illegal organ transplants have been presenting itself on the international stage. In March 2010, European Organ Donation and Transplant Conference held in Madrid invited Huang Jiefu, who was accused of involvement in live organ harvesting, to attend and speak. In August 2013, Marty Mañalich and other organ transplant experts visited Wuhan Hospital in Beijing to introduce the current situation of organ transplant, model, and experiences in Spain. In December 2014, Transplant Procurement Management and Donation and Transplant Institution from Spain, along with Kunming's #1 People's Hospital, hosted the first international organ transplant training course. The Research Institute of Zhongnan Hospital of Wuhan University also hired Marty Mañalich as an emeritus professor. According to Wang Jiefu, without Wuhan, there would be no organ transplant industry in China. Xinhua Net, a Chinese state-run media, emphasized in its report dated July 2018 that Marty Mañalich's Transplant Procurement, Management, and Donation and Transplant Institutes assisted China in the training of more than 1,500 organ transplant coordinators. Wang Zhiyan said, "The CCP performing live organ harvesting on Falun Gong practitioners is a crime of genocide, and the evidence is plenty. Now, the outbreak of the CCP virus in countries like Spain is God's punishment and warning to those who ignore the persecutors of human rights in the Chinese Communist Party."
Countries around the world, including Spain, chose to ignore and even took the side of the evildoer, the CCP. This is the ultimate destruction of the bottom line of human moral values, and that is why the world is suffering today. This is God's warning.
Wang indicated, "Today, the people are suffering as a result of committing the crime of either acknowledging or assisting the CCP's genocide. If they are not going to repent their actions, then humanity will face an even worse consequence."
A Chinese journalist was convicted for criticizing the Chinese regime. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison, and his younger brother was sentenced to 4 years. Both are charged with picking quarrels and provoking trouble, among other things.
A mainland Chinese journalist and freelance columnist, Chen Jieren, suspected of alleging that Henan Province's Shanyang City Party Secretary Deng Guangyan was involved in a major corruption cover-up and was convicted of picking quarrels and provoking trouble, extortion, illegal business operations, and bribery. He has been sentenced to 15 years in jail. His younger brother, Chen Wei-ren, was also sentenced. Guiyang County Court in Hunan Province announced on April 30th that it convicted Mr. Chen of picking quarrels and provoking troubles, extortion, illegal business operations, and bribery, and fined him 7 million yuan. His brother was sentenced to 4 years in prison for picking quarrels and provoking troubles, and extortion and blackmail charges, and was fined 1,000 renminbi. An associate, Liu Min, was exempted from criminal penalties after being convicted of picking quarrels and provoking troubles. Chen Jiren published an article online on June 25, 2018, accusing Deng Guangyan of gross misconduct and malfeasance. Mr. Chen went missing over the following days and was later confirmed to be in criminal detention with the police.
According to the Constitution, he is not guilty. They should not even arrest him. The reality is that if there is anything against their interest, they will find a reason to punish you. The judging criteria of the CCP is not the Constitution and the criminal law, but its political purpose and political needs. They are beating the dog before the lion and putting the fear of God into Chinese people by giving Mr. Chen a severe punishment.
The court claimed that since 2015, Chen Jiren has used the alias Internet Big V to publish false or negative information online, to maliciously exaggerate certain mass incidents, to attack and defame the CCP, the judicial organ, and its staff, to instigate troubles, and to extort public and private property. A Hunan netizen said that the official media reported that Chen Jiren had hundreds of millions of dollars in assets. The court did not confiscate all of his property. He did not appeal either, which means he was probably forced to compromise and plead guilty.
Some of his posts are very sharp, but after a while, they are gone. He has exposed too many things. He attacked the secretary of the CCP. Even his brother was implicated, as well as his ex-wife. During the investigation process, he and his family were all in silence. He didn't even appeal. I think he compromised.
It's reported by the Chinese human rights defenders that Chen Jiren graduated from Tsinghua University Law School and had worked for several state media outlets, including Southern Weekend, China Youth Daily, Beijing Daily, and People's Daily, and published over 2,000 commentary articles. Chen was fired from China Youth Daily in 2003 for uncovering a prostitution ring involving students at Wuhan University, causing a scandal. He was demoted as editor-in-chief of China Philanthropy Times for criticizing a government portal in 2006. And in 2011, he was sacked from his position at People's Daily Online's Jiangsu window for too much criticism of the government.
Many Chinese communities in the United States are filing lawsuits demanding compensation from the CCP for the virus outbreak. They join a growing number of countries and organizations around the world seeking to hold the Chinese regime accountable for the pandemic.
As countries around the world file lawsuits against the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, for causing a global pandemic, many Chinese communities in the United States are following suit, holding the CCP accountable and demanding compensation. As of April 28th, a lawsuit for compensation has officially entered the judicial process. Chinese Americans from several communities in the United States have formed a group to sue the Chinese regime and its leader Xi Jinping for the spread of the CCP virus. The group expressed that the CCP should be held accountable for deceiving foreign and domestic nationals, covering up the truth, as well as incurring irreparable losses in human lives and economics. The group said that Chinese nationals have no freedom of speech, and the CCP's actions in arresting doctors to dispel rumors have consequently caused the spread of the CCP virus. It also demanded an end to the CCP's one-party rule. The group currently has more than 100 members and has hired Burman Law Group to represent them.
There hasn't been a single approval case when it comes to civic organizations suing a nation. However, this time, if the U.S. could utilize its Congress, could enact legislation, or through other means, abrogate China's, the CCP's, sovereign immunity, I believe a significant breakthrough could then be achieved.
Previously, a number of countries had already sued the CCP over the virus outbreak, including lawsuits from 2 U.S. state governments and class action lawsuits filed by approximately 10,000 people from 40 countries within the United States, the UK, India, Africa, etc. China expert Zhang Jian believes the sharp increase in lawsuits filed by different entities will impose a lot of pressure on local governments to support the lawsuits against the CCP. But during this process, the CCP will put up a show to continue lying in order to shift the blame, and people will see its true nature, Zhang said. The president of the Chinese American organization Humanitarian China, Zhou Fengshuo, said that the CCP knew about the virus when it first broke out. However, the Chinese authorities did not make a public announcement in a timely manner, which not only victimized the mainland Chinese, but also caused a global pandemic.
There are two aspects to why we call this virus the CCP virus. The first aspect is factual because the CCP caused the pandemic. The other aspect is that the CCP's totalitarian ideology has spread everywhere as a result of globalization, which have threatened all of mankind.
Zhou pointed out that through this plague, the CCP has shown its dangerous side to the entire world. The death toll in the United States alone has exceeded that of U.S. military fatal casualties of the Vietnam War. The World Health Organization, WHO, has acted as a puppet for the Chinese regime. The Visual Artists Guild, a Chinese-American society in Los Angeles, questioned the WHO after reviewing its report in the medical journal The Lancet. The president of the Los Angeles-based Visual Arts Guild, Liu Yaya, said,
According to the Lancet report, 44 onset symptoms have been recorded from December 1, 2019 to January 2, 2020. However, among these cases, many people, infected patients, have not been to the market, Huanan Seafood Market. This proves that during that period of time, they, the WHO, already knew the virus is capable of spreading via human-to-human transmission.
Liu questioned why the WHO's medical team only spent half a day in Wuhan during their 15-day visit to China from February 10th to the 24th. Liu also wondered why they didn't spend more time visiting doctors and patients in the city, the epicenter of the outbreak.
As we could see from the role of the WHO played during this virus outbreak, it has become a puppet of the CCP. No matter what it has said, what it has done, or what it has investigated, it has gotten no acceptance from the international community. If this continues in the long run, these organizations within the United Nations will become merely empty shells.
Zhang also pointed out that the CCP has infiltrated many UN organizations. The organizations will stick to the scripts written by the CCP, and this has sounded the alarm around the world, he said. Zhou Fengshuo thinks the reason that SARS in 2003 did not become as bad as the CCP virus is because the WHO played a role in exposing the CCP back then. But today, under the leadership of Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, the WHO has become complicit in the CCP's demands. The WHO and the CCP should be held accountable. Zhou said that in order to prevent something similar from happening again, the world needs to completely decouple from the CCP in terms of economy and technology, among other things. Zhang Jian pointed out that many countries are reflecting on the relationship with the Chinese regime after realizing that the CCP has caused much harm to the world by unleashing the pandemic. He believes those countries will come together and form a strong anti-communist coalition to make the CCP pay for what it has done.
On May 1st, President Trump signed an executive order to protect the U.S. bulk power system from cyber attacks and other forms of attacks. The executive order could stop imports of certain products coming from China and Russia.
President Donald Trump signed an executive order on May 1st to protect the U.S. bulk power system from cyber and other attacks. The order could stop imports of certain products coming from China and Russia. The U.S. bulk power system provides the electricity that supports the country's national defense, vital emergency services, critical infrastructure, economy, and daily life, including households and companies. Deputy Secretary of Energy Dan Brouillette said Trump's latest executive order securing the United States bulk power system will make it more difficult for foreign adversaries to target U.S. critical infrastructure. It prohibits federal agencies and U.S. persons from obtaining goods, products, and materials for the bulk power system from companies or anyone situated within foreign adversaries where the transaction poses an unacceptable risk to U.S. national security or the safety and security of U.S. citizens. Former Director of National Intelligence Daniel Coates expressed in the Worldwide Threat Assessment of the U.S. Intelligence Community 2019 report that China, Russia, and other countries present a persistent cyber espionage threat and a growing attack threat to our core military and critical infrastructure system. The Ministry of Energy said Current government procurement rules often result in contracts being awarded to the lowest cost bids, a vulnerability that can be exploited by those with malicious intent.
According to some netizens, the pandemic situation in China is still severe. In Zhejiang and Henan provinces, students returning to school have contracted the CCP virus.
Schools resume in China, despite pandemics still being severe. In Zhejiang province, parents were requested to make hats with 1-meter brims for their children to wear to school. Students are attending school with facial masks and these hats to socially distance. Anecdotal accounts from netizens have revealed that the pandemic situation is still severe in China, although the Chinese Communist Party's ongoing cover-up of the outbreak and censorship of COVID-19 related information has parents trusting the regime, which claims that China is nearly free of the virus. But the lack of transparent information is putting these children's lives at risk. The video shows a white banner stating, "Right to know, why cover up?" and a black banner stating, "Injustice, lost lives." On the wall, there's also a banner that reads, "Give my child back, give me the truth." According to a netizen's comment, the child had a headache. Rather than notifying the parents or taking the child to the doctor, the school kept the kid isolated. After the student's death, the parents defended their rights in front of the school to know how their child had died and recover the body. In Henan province, outside another high school, an ambulance was seen with workers wearing protective gear the evening of April 13th.
120车又来了啊，穿了全身防护服，好几个孩子拉走了，然后这不是二中啊，拉走了4个孩子，拉走4个孩子，哎呀，看着可吓人。
In China, people living in Hubei and Heilongjiang provinces are experiencing discrimination in the job market since both provinces are epicenters for the CCP virus.
People in Hubei and Heilongjiang, the 2 epicenters of the pandemic in China, are experiencing discrimination on the job market. In Jiangsu province, a human resources staff member said that the company will not hire anyone from Hubei or Heilongjiang. In Heilongjiang, a resident revealed that the bad economy due to the pandemic has caused many people to wander the street and camp outside of the local job placement center. Zhang Yu is an HR worker in Jiangsu province.
Hubei natives will not be accepted. No one from hard-hit areas will be taken.
What about people from Heilongjiang?
Heilongjiang people are also banned from recruitment.
Is this a common regulation in the industry?
Yes, about 90% of the factories or even 100% of them will not accept workers from Heilongjiang or Hubei.
What about those who have left Heilongjiang for many years? Are they also banned?
Right, they will not be accepted either.
I saw your ads on the web. What are your products? Is it for domestic sales or export?
We are focusing on domestic sales. The export section is closed because the pandemic overseas is more serious. Foreign trade orders have been canceled.
What are your products?
We manufacture parts of mobile phones, such as cases, speakers, and circuit boards.
Mr. Che is a resident of Harbin City, Heilongjiang province.
It was said that 2 manufacturers in Harbin have contracts for test kit production. They have made profit out of this pandemic. Have you heard of this?
That's designated by the government. It's up to the government to decide how much they'll charge. We ordinary people can't negotiate the price. This type of thing has been going on for a while, not just a day or 2.
I have heard that people in Harbin are having a hard time making a living.
I was told that the placement center has been closed. Job seekers have been camping outside the center. I didn't see it myself, but people said that.
Is the motel not open? Why can't they go to the motel?
The motels are closed. Nothing is open.
What about the government?
Who would care? Many major restaurants in Harbin are also closed. You can't eat in restaurants. The chefs have to move the kitchen outside the restaurant. They cook on the street for people to grab and go.
They cook on the street?
Yes, right here in my neighborhood. People are cooking outside, right across the street. We are banned from going to restaurants. You can't have 3 people sharing the same table. That's subject to detention. But the restaurants needs to pay the rent. People need to work. So, the stove is moved outside. There are many videos online. Go check it out.
Is the business good?
It's cheaper than the store. There's not much operational cost on the street.
The interview was conducted on April 29th by Shom Bin of the Chinese language Epoch Times.
On Tuesday, President Trump spoke from the recently set up Honeywell facility in Arizona that is producing high-quality N95 masks. Trump said the effort is part of the biggest industrial mobilization since World War II. He thanked the factory workers for doing a great job in defending our nation and keeping it safe.
But they're incredible, patriotic and hardworking men and women of Honeywell. Moments ago, we saw the brand new production lines where you're making high-quality N95 respirators, and they are made to perfection. There's no bad masks like various countries have been sent some very bad masks from other places. There's nothing like that at Honeywell. Respirators are there to protect our heroic doctors and nurses as they fight the unseen enemy. More than 150 Honeywell employees are working around the clock, 3 shifts a day, 6 days a week. You are the greatest industrial, and think of this, what you've done. You're part of this incredible industrial mobilization, the biggest since World War II. Hard to believe for an invisible enemy, but it's a vicious enemy, smart enemy. Like generations of patriots before you, the workers of this factory are pouring their heart and their soul and their blood into defending our nation and keeping our people healthy and safe. You make America proud. You really do, and I want to thank you very much. That's why I'm here.
Honeywell has created 500 new jobs in Arizona and another 500 in Rhode Island. The 2 facilities will produce 20 million N95 respirator masks every month. Trump called it a miraculous achievement.
In normal times, it would take 9 months to stand up one facility like this. But Honeywell has built this in less than 5 weeks, creating 500 new jobs in Arizona and another 500 jobs in Rhode Island. Together, these new factories will soon produce more than 20 million N95 respirators every single month, a truly miraculous achievement.
The president also said the curve has flattened for new CCP virus infections and countless American lives have been saved.
As you know, this terrible plague has inflicted grave hardships on our people. We mourn for every life lost. We pray for every victim. And we shoulder this burden together as one people, one family, and one great American nation. Thanks to the profound commitment of our citizens, we've flattened the curve, and countless American lives have been saved. Our country is now in the next stage of the battle, a very safe, phased, and gradual reopening. It's a reopening of our country. Who would have ever thought we were going to be saying that? A reopening.
Trump mentioned that the 3rd quarter will be a transition period and the 4th quarter will be very good.
We're going to have a transition period. 3rd quarter, it's going to transition. 4th quarter is going to be very good, we think, very good. And I think next year we're going to have one of the strongest years we've had in a long time. And that's my ambition, to get it back to not only where it was, but to beyond where it was. And I just want to thank all of the people at this incredible company and this incredible plant.
On Monday, the U.S. Supreme Court conducted its first ever hearing via teleconference and provided a live feed of the audio. This is the first time ever that the public could listen live to the High Court's proceedings.
The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday pulled off not one, but two historic firsts, conducting its first ever hearing by teleconference and providing a live feed of the audio, making it the first time ever that the public could listen live to the High Court's proceedings. Chief Justice John Roberts served as a sort of master of ceremonies in a case involving hotel reservation website Booking.com, which is looking to trademark its name.
We'll hear argument this morning in case 1946, the United States Patent and Trademark Office versus Booking.com.
Conservative Justice Clarence Thomas even did something he almost never does. He spoke. Thomas's questions during Monday's oral arguments were the first he has asked since March of 2019. His previous question came 3 years before that. Here's his back and forth Monday with an attorney from the Trademark Office.
Could Booking acquire an 800 number, that's a vanity number, 1-800-BOOKING, for example, that is similar to, for 1-800-PLUMBING, which is a registered mark?
The core problem with Booking.com is that it allows respondent to monopolize booking on the internet because of the fact that longer domain names of respondents' competitors like ebooking.com and hotelbooking.com can include Booking.com. That is not as obviously true of something like 1-800-BOOKING.
Liberal Justice Stephen Breyer then said he had the same question as Thomas's, which he phrased slightly differently. A small moment of levity for listeners came when Justice Sonia Sotomayor appeared to do what many of us have done when on a conference call, mistakenly kept her phone on mute when called upon to speak.
Justice Sotomayor? Justice Sotomayor?
I'm sorry, Chief.
The court has scheduled teleconference arguments for a total of 10 cases over the next 2 weeks.
The following charts will show you the most recent numbers regarding the CCP virus pandemic. However, China and Iran are not included because their numbers are unverifiable. We've been mentioning the many losses in the world caused by the Chinese Communist Party's cover-up of the CCP virus. With over 3.5 million people infected, China is still defensive about independent international inquiry into the origin and spread of the CCP virus. The Epoch Times has initiated a global Sign the Petition campaign calling for investigating, condemning, and rejecting the CCP. We believe that investigating and exposing the truth is the only way that we can remain safe. Let's take action. Sign the petition at ccpvirustruth.com. That's all for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this program with friends and family to keep them informed about the latest news and updates. Thank you for joining me. See you next time.